All right, let's just dive right in, shall we? Because something very, very strange is happening in Hollywood, and we need to talk about it. We're going to unpack this trend that's honestly unsettling, it's everywhere, and it is fundamentally changing the literal face of celebrity as we know it.
Have you had this feeling? Come on, you know the one. You're just scrolling through your phone, minding your own business, and you see a photo of an actor or a musician you have known for, like, decades. And for a split second, your brain just goes, who is that? It's this really jarring, uncanny feeling, and I guarantee you are not alone. More and more people are feeling it. And that little sense of unease, well, that's at the very heart of what we're going to get into today.
So yeah, that is the million-dollar question, isn't it? What is going on? Why do so many famous people all of a sudden look like, I don't know, waxwork versions of themselves? Or like slightly off-brand clones? This isn't just about a little Botox here or a touch of filler there anymore. No, what we are witnessing is a massive, seismic shift. It's like a full-on facial reconstruction era, and it's creating a brand new and frankly kind of terrifying template for what beauty is supposed to look like.
Okay, so to really get our heads around why this is happening right now, we actually need to rewind a little bit. Because beauty standards, they're not set in stone. They're more like a giant pendulum, constantly swinging back and forth, usually from one crazy extreme to the absolute opposite. And let me tell you, the swing over the last couple of decades has been particularly violent.
Let's just walk through this roller coaster, shall we? First, you had the 2000s. Oh man, the size zero era. The whole culture was obsessed with being as thin as humanly possible. Magazines would literally draw a red circle around a tiny speck of cellulite on a celebrity like it was a federal crime scene. But then, the pendulum swung hard the other way. Welcome to the 2010s, the age of the Kardashian-driven BBL body. All of a sudden, it was all about impossible curves, huge hips, a giant, perfectly round butt, which of course was all supposedly just from doing a few squats in the gym. And now, here we are. The pendulum is swinging back with an absolute vengeance, all the way to extreme thinness. But this time, it's supercharged by new drugs like Ozempic.
And here's where it gets really, really interesting. This is the key difference. Back in those earlier decades, the battleground was the body. It was all about how thin you were or how curvy you were. But faces were allowed to have character. You think of Julia Roberts' smile or Cameron Diaz's expressive features. Their faces had unique quirks. They had personality. They looked human. Today, the body is shrinking again, for sure. But the cultural obsession has moved north. It has violently shifted to the face, leading to this aggressive and often totally unrecognizable era of facial reconstruction.
So here's the kicker. This new obsession with thinness has created a massive unintended consequence. When you lose a lot of weight really, really fast, especially if you were already pretty slim to begin with, your face doesn't just get thinner, it collapses. That natural volume, the fat that keeps your skin looking youthful and plump, it's gone. The skin starts to sag, the cheeks sink in, and it can make someone look dramatically older almost overnight. This phenomenon, which people are calling Ozempic face, has sent Hollywood into a full-blown five-alarm panic.
And this widespread panic has created this, well, it's a fascinating, if not pretty disturbing phenomenon. From what we can see, it seems like celebrities are choosing one of three very distinct paths to try and fix this problem of the collapsing face. And even though they look different on the surface, you've got to remember they all stem from this exact same root of panic. All right, first up, let's talk about category 1. The inflated. You know this look. This is the classic knee-jerk reaction to that volume loss we were just talking about. The thinking is, oh no, my face is deflating, I need to pump it back up. So they try to fix those sunken features by pumping the face full of so much filler and Botox that it goes way, way too far in the other direction. You see this look with stars like Selena Gomez or Taylor Swift, whose faces have just become noticeably rounder, puffier, almost swollen looking? The problem is, filler doesn't act like natural fat. It doesn't just disappear, it can migrate and stack up over time, pushing the skin outwards and literally erasing the person's natural bone structure. It can get so extreme that people online were comparing recent photos of Selena Gomez to a puffy British snack food called the Space Raider. And the result is a face that just doesn't move right, pushing them right into that creepy, uncanny valley. Okay, so if that was category 1, let's move on to our next category, which is the complete 180-degree opposite. We call this one the vacuum sealed. If the first group was all about adding volume, this one is about aggressively, and I mean aggressively, taking it away, all to create a super sharp, hollowed out, almost skeletal appearance.
You can really see this with someone like Miley Cyrus, whose face has become shockingly gaunt, or the actress Erin Moriarty from The Boys, who went from having this really lovely youthful look to this super trendy, hollowed-out one. The procedure behind this is often buccal fat removal, where doctors literally go in and suck out the natural fat pads you have in your cheeks, and the result is this very severe look that one writer perfectly described as a face that looks like it's been laminated onto a skull.
And that brings us to the third, and by far the most extreme category, the full reconstruction. And look, this isn't about tweaking anymore. This isn't just a little filler. This is the nuclear option. We are talking about incredibly advanced, invasive surgical procedures that don't just lift the skin. They go deep underneath to pull up muscles and fat, literally restructuring the entire architecture of the face.
You can see this with celebrities like Christina Aguilera, who suddenly looks like she time-traveled from 2006, or Kris Jenner, whose skin is so unnervingly tight and smooth it's been compared to taxidermy. And then you have someone like Demi Moore, who at one point appeared almost completely unrecognizable. With this look, the goal isn't just to look younger, it seems to be about achieving a perfectly smooth, almost alien, mask-like version of a face, even if it means you don't look like yourself anymore.
So, right about now, you might be thinking, okay, but it's their face, it's their choice. And look, you're right, of course. But the consequences of these trends, they ripple out far, far beyond the Hollywood red carpet. They have a massive impact on our culture, and maybe most importantly, on the art of cinema itself.
And this is where we start to see the real price being paid. Because let's just state a fundamental fact here. An actor's single most powerful, most important tool for telling a story is their face. It's everything. It's the entire medium for nonverbal communication. It's how we, the audience, read subtext and connect with a character and actually feel what they're feeling on a deep, visceral level. And when that tool is frozen, well, that connection is completely lost.
And you know what's wild? This is not some new hot take. The legendary director Martin Scorsese was already complaining about this exact thing over 20 years ago. Let that sink in. He said this in 2003. What was a growing concern back then has now exploded into a full-blown crisis for the entire craft of acting.
Nowadays, we're seeing these performances from incredibly talented actors like Nicole Kidman or Renee Zellweger, where the close-ups on their faces become genuinely distracting. It pulls you right out of the movie. You can see them trying to show an emotion, but their face just won't cooperate. The illusion is completely shattered. When an actor's face stops behaving like a normal human face, the performance stops feeling human too. It's even happening with someone as famously expressive as Emma Stone, where it appears she's had work done and some of that natural animated magic just seems to be fading away. And this stuff, it never ever stays in Hollywood, does it? The trends we see on celebrities inevitably trickle down to the rest of us. And the message that's being sent right now is a pretty bleak one, that aging, or even just having normal human facial features, is some kind of flaw. It's a problem that needs to be fixed.
And if you need proof of how fast this is spreading, just get ready for this number, because it is wild. A 45% increase in cosmetic forehead lifts for people under the age of 30 in a single year. I mean, let's be real. Why on earth does someone in their 20s need a forehead lift? It just goes to show how quickly and intensely this fear of aging is accelerating in the general population.
And you can see exactly how this normalization happens. It's a step-by-step process. First, it's 20-somethings on TikTok casually talking about preventative Botox, as if wrinkles are a disease you need to get a vaccine for. Then that idea trickles down to high schoolers with literally perfect skin who are now obsessing over complex anti-aging routines. Now it's gotten to the point where actual preteens are flooding stores like Sephora to buy expensive anti-aging serums for Christmas. It's become so normalized that major brands are now launching skincare lines targeted specifically at children. Children!
Yeah, that quote pretty much sums it up, doesn't it? It has reached a point where it all feels completely surreal, like we're just living characters in some dystopian work of fiction. The goalposts have shifted so dramatically that what was once considered extreme and radical is now seen as normal, even aspirational.
But it is not all doom and gloom. There is a tiny glimmer of a counter-narrative starting to emerge. Some of the very celebrities who went all in on this stuff are now starting to speak out about their regret. Courtney Cox is a great example. She famously had all of her fillers dissolved after she had this moment where she looked in the mirror and realized she didn't recognize her own face anymore. It's a powerful reminder that this path isn't a one-way street and that chasing this impossible ideal doesn't always lead to happiness.
And so, I guess all of this leaves us with one final and I think really crucial question to think about. In all of this chaos, this cultural obsession with smoothness and tightness and youth, we've kind of forgotten something incredibly simple. Getting older is a privilege. Every line on your face is proof that you've lived, and you've laughed, and you've cried, and you've survived. So, what if we just reframed this entire conversation? What if we started to see aging not as a failure to be fixed or a flaw to be erased, but as the literal, beautiful, undeniable evidence that we are alive?